other so well. We love each other. We go out. We go. You know, sometimes you know somebody. You don't go out with them. I go out with this man and his wife all the time, and for some reason, your name flew out of my head. I really apologize to you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Larry Magid.
It's a pleasure, Larry, having you here.
Pleasure.
By the way. And I'll tell you why it's important that Larry is joining me for a few moments. Larry just came back from Israel. You've been there a number of times recently, yes?
Yes.
Okay. If you were there during this conflict, I want you to just spend one moment telling our audience, I want you to look right at the camera and tell the audience, what was it like for you and your wife? What was it like being on the streets of Jerusalem? You have an apartment in Jerusalem. Larry, what was it like for you to be there?
For us, it was just beautiful. You know, the restaurants were open.
I'm sorry. I apologize to the control room. Where do you want? Give me. Is this Larry's camera? This one here? That's your camera.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, nightlife was booming in Jerusalem, and the restaurants, the theater. We were going to Tel Aviv. We were with an organization, the Conference of Presidents, that we went with for a solidarity mission for 5 days. So, listen, you can't deny that there are things going on, and we were on our way from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv. There was a missile attack. People lay down on the road. We went onto the bridge, and after the missile came and you heard it got hit, everybody went back. People went back into the water, and life goes on, and the resilience of the Israeli people is tremendous, and they realize that life has to go on, and it's part of life, and you have to learn to live with it. But the country is not finished, and the country is booming in all aspects. You know, the stock market is booming right now. You know, economically, it's just the innovation that's coming out of Israel is phenomenal. So things are not going dead, and we're not over. And I think we have a beautiful country, and I think everybody should be going there.
Mm-hmm. As you heard Avi Weiss said, it's time to go to Israel.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really recommend that nobody cancels a trip. You know, it's the place to be. It's the place to go to.
Were you ever frightened while you were there? Were you frightened?
Am I frightened? No. You know, it's part of life. I was there last November when I had the first missile attack to Jerusalem, and it was on a Shabbat evening. The missile, the siren went off. We all took cover. After 10 minutes, everybody got up. We went back to the wall. We had a beautiful Shabbat dinner, and that's what life is. You have to get accustomed to it.
How have you felt as you've watched the American media coverage of this conflict?
Personally, I think it's really disgusting how the media cannot present the right side and is taking the side of it's just not presenting it. You know, what's happening, unfortunately, in Gaza, they're using people as human shields. You know, I actually physically, I wanted to see, you know, before I talk, I want to see the leaflets. I wanted to see what's really going on. So when you physically see the leaflets that are being dropped, and then all of a sudden the people are saying, hey, ignore what they're saying, it's not truth, and then we get blamed for it. You know, we're defending ourselves. The sirens go off 70, 80 times a day, and, you know, anybody whose country that is would not react in the way Israel is doing. It's doing it in a very mild manner, and it's not doing it to the extent that, believe me, if the United States was attacked, this would not be as nice as it is in Israel and the way the Israelis are treating the situation.
I want you to tell us one more thing from your perspective. Many times I get emails from viewers who say to me, Mark, what can we do? What can we do for Israel now? Tell me what to do. Larry, if somebody emails you and says, Larry, I want to help Israel, what would Larry Magid answer?
I think one of the most important things is to write letters, email congressmen, senators, the White House. You know, I think it's very, very important that if we don't show that we support Jews and non-Jews, support the state of Israel, it's going to be put on the sideline and not become an issue, because people are just saying, hey, it's something that's not interesting to people, so, you know what, let's forget about it, and we'll do other things in the political system in the United States. I think that people who have Twitter and Facebook and other social medias, I think they should respond very strongly to any kind of comments. They shouldn't just accept it when somebody writes a negative comment about it. You should respond back. A lot of times people are writing with not intelligence or literacy. They're writing because they're hearing things or reading things. And unfortunately, a lot of times, things that you read in the press, some may be true, a lot may not be true, but always fight your position to the end, because if you don't fight it, it's going to get accepted. My wife just had an incident on her web page, on her Facebook, and she had a cousin who said, hey, what's going on here? My wife says, look, would I let my husband go to Israel, be killed, etc., and stood up for her rights. And then after they were back and forth a little while, the cousin realized, she says, I was wrong and I apologize. I didn't understand what I was writing, and I was writing with lack of knowledge. And unfortunately, a lot of people just put things on Facebook, on Twitter, with lack of knowledge and lack of understanding of what they're writing, because they're taking the easy way. And I think in everything you do, you need to evaluate your position and understand your position, and then put it down in writing, because then you know the facts. And that was the purpose of why I went to Israel, because, you read in the press, and I said, hey, maybe it's really bad. Maybe things are really bad, and I wanted to know for myself before I advised other people to go to Israel. And I saw it myself, and I saw the airport, the security, etc., and it's the place to be right now. And I'll tell you the truth, I feel safer, I felt safer in Israel than I do in New York City. And I think that also, that it's very important in any organization. There's been so many phone calls from people from Israel, military people giving conferences, and unfortunately a lot of people are pocketing the information. And I think it's very important, these phone calls are for a purpose. And I think it's very important to go out on your emails, to go on your Facebook and tweet the information and disseminate it to your organizations that you're involved in, disseminate that information to your friends so that the facts are there. And that you're hearing this information firsthand, and disseminate that information. And this way, at least when they read a New York Times or whatever paper that's giving one perspective, you have your perspective, and then you can evaluate it. And I find that a lot of people are not disseminating information. A lot of organizations are not passing it out to their members. And I think it's very, very important to pass out information and let people be intelligent, make an intelligent decision, and then they can evaluate it. But all I know is from what I see, and not being selfish, that Israel is in the right. We're not doing anything wrong. And when you're fighting somebody who's a terrorist organization, who's using its own people as a shield and using UN facilities to store missiles in, the UN, get it, the UN knows about this and letting them store missiles in the basement, then turn it over to the police, who's Hamas, to say, hey, we agree with you. This is absolutely terrible, and it should not be, and this should be condemned.
Okay, I have 1 more minute left. Tell me about a rally that you'd like us all to attend.
On Monday is the National Day for Action for Israel. And it's going to be taking place, there are going to be rallies in different spots around the country, but in New York at 12:30 at the Dog Hammarskjöld Plaza on 47th Street and 2nd Avenue at 12:30. I believe it's more important than going to work. I believe it's important for everybody in this country and everybody in the New York metropolitan area to go to this rally, to stand up, to show our support. This is an ally. This is an ally of the United States of America, and I think everybody, no matter who you are, should go to this rally to support and show your support for the people of Israel, for the state of Israel. Be counted. If we're not counted, we are going to lose in this political system. And I think everybody should go there, and there should be thousands and thousands, 30, 50, 100,000 people. The city of New York should close all their offices and let their people come there to be there at that time and show that this is an ally of the United States, and the United States should not abandon this country and should be there for them in all times. And I think it's very important. So I believe that Monday at 12:30, I think, is the most important time for anybody who's living in the New York metropolitan area to be there at 12:30 and show our support and show that this is an ally and this is not a stranger. And Israel is a very strong ally, and we are getting most of our medical advances coming out of Israel. The cell phone came out of Israel. non-invasive cardiac valve replacement came out of Israel that people are not even aware of. And if we lose those things, medicine will be very different the way it is here in the United States. And the cell phone and technology, the Intel processor, and I think it's important for everybody to come there on Monday at 12:30 to be there and show their support and stand up for Israel.
47th and 2nd Avenue, Don Hamachol Plaza.
I'll see you there.
You're fabulous.
Thank you.
And you know, it's no secret you've been very supportive of me and Shalom TV, and you and your wife have just been princes. And I really appreciate what you've done for Shalom TV and how you believe in Shalom TV. And when I hear, how you embrace so many Jewish causes, the fact that this is one of them really makes me very, very proud.
To me, Mark, it's very, very important. You disseminate information that's factual, that's actual. You're giving your expertise. You're not just showing from one side. You're giving people the opportunity to look from both sides, and I think that's important. And unfortunately, I think that people should stand up, because this should not only be on Cablevision, this should be on Time Warner, on Comcast, on every station. Absolutely. So people hear and hear about it.
Absolutely. Stay here one moment. I'm going to say goodbye to Larry privately. Right now, we want you to see somebody else. Perhaps the most celebrated figure in the Jewish world today, is the author of this year.